¿Qué pasa, YouTube? Okay, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to week number 6 of VDL Season 8. We are taking on App in his Toronto Take Hearts. Channel will be down below, although I don't think he uploads, so yeah, take that how you will. Anyways, unfortunately, this game will be post-commentated because we just had too many issues during this battle, so we had to play it on Showdown, and I apologize. Even the first like 20 turns are just us trying to remake the game. My video couldn't save, and it was too much of a hassle. So I apologize. If you guys do enjoy the video, though, leave a like, leave a comment, and we'll see how week 7 goes. So we are currently we're 4-1, I think. We're currently 4-1 going into this game. If we win this, we 100% lock playoffs, regardless of if we lose out the rest of the season. We need 5 wins to lock playoffs. So we win this, we're in. We lose this, we still gotta try and win one of our last 2 games, or hopefully at least our last 2 games. So looking at this matchup, App has a pretty scary squad. Terra Iron Thorns low key is actually kind of a problem. This was a giant nuisance in mocks. Shout out to the front office homies for helping me for this matchup. Offensively, Godango plus Garchomp is really problematic. Weavile also is definitely annoying depending on what set it could be running. Azelf low-key is actually a bit of an issue. I'm hoping that maybe he doesn't bring it because Meowscarada outspeeds it, and offensively Meowscarada does do pretty well here, even though he does have a Moltres. I do kind of expect Moltres to come to this game. Because it is able to check a good bit of our squad or just spread burns, which could definitely be a nuisance. Wheezing Galar is definitely going to be a giant issue, though. And then Serena and Regigigas, I don't expect. Godango, I definitely think can come, but it could just be a supportive set or more of a nuisance. So with that being said, let's take a look at our first team member here. So we are starting off with Meowscarada, which could be our lead. I don't quite remember if this was our lead or not, but we are rocking pads mixed for attacks here because Power Gem is able to just destroy the Moltres, whether we turn into a rock type or not. If we catch it with a knockoff, I think knockoff plus Power Gem can 2 KO Moltres, so that's definitely going to come in handy, especially if we are able to get up rocks and we can knock off the boots on Moltres. That's going to be very handy. Outside of that, though, Galar Weezing does kind of wall this set, but hopefully we can play around it. Next off, we have Ting Lu rocking a very speedy very speedy mixed defensive set. We are running Heavy Slam on this because I want to be able to surprise the Weezing. Weezing does not really have much reason to run a lot of speed, maybe to outspeed Alamamola, but that's about it. So we should be able to outspeed that Weezing and then knock it out with the Heavy Slam, or we can taunt it to stop him from defogging away our rocks or going for Pain Splits or Will-O-Wisps. Next off, speaking of Alamamola, that is our next mon, just basic standard AV Alamamola. We are more physically defensive than specially defensive because this is able to take Secret Sword from the Keldeo if it is specs or if it starts to Calm Mind. If it starts to Calm Mind, that could be a little bit of a problem, but hopefully that is not the case, and then we can go from there. Next off, we have, of course, our Terra Captain, Terra Conkeldurr, Terra Blast Water plus Drain Punch. Absolutely destroy the entirety of App's team. Look at Conkeldurr, look at App. If this is able to bulk up, this can honestly just run through his team, and then even if he's got the Weezing and he tries to burn us or hit us super effectively, we just Terra out of our fighting type into water, and then even if he poisons us or burns us, he gives us a guts boost, and then Terra Blast is able to do a good chunk of damage to it. Next, we have Clefable, just standard defensive Clefable. I want this unaware because his boosting options are quite a bit. Nasty Plot Azelf, Dragon Dance Iron Thorn, SD Weavile, Nasty Plot Godango, Calm Mind Keldeo, Swords Dance Garchomp. All of those setting up could definitely be a bit of a problem. So Ice Beam plus Fire Blast actually hit everything pretty hard. The only thing we don't hit is the Keldeo, but I don't think you should be switching Keldeo on my Clefable. And if it's not sub Calm Mind, then we can paralyze it with Thunder Wave if worse comes to worse. So I'm not too concerned about not being able to do much damage to Keldeo, just because if it does come in we can hopefully just try and paralyze it, or if we find out that it's not substitute, then we can't paralyze it while tanking a hit. And then our final team member is going to be Iron Mommy, aka Iron Moth, a really bulky pivot set, because with max HP this is able to handle most of his especially offensive mons. Plus this is just really hard in general for him to switch into, so with all this bulk we can potentially catch him off guard with us living a hit, and then with Fiery Dance we are able to at least boost our special attack to still do some damage. So with that being said, let's jump into the battle. Okay, pause YouTube. So if you guys skipped the team builder, quick background on this: we played on Wi-Fi, ended up disconnecting, tried it on Showdown, but we had to recreate like 30 turns because that's how far we got into the battle. Then it turns out that my side did not save, so unfortunately I don't have my side, and app I don't think uploads, so I don't have his side, which means I'm gonna try and run through the first couple turns here, like the first 20 or so turns of us trying to remake what happened in the Wi-Fi battle, and then I'll let you guys know when we get to the actual battle. So I apologize, it's just, I don't know, man, life has been giving me a lot of bad luck lately. But yeah, we're here for week 6. So if you guys do enjoy this, leave a like, leave a comment, and yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and just get these first couple turns out of the way. So I'm gonna try and tell you guys everything leading up to when we'll promptly narrate the actual, well, I'll promptly narrate the actual battle. So turns out that his Keldeo is choice specs. That's a problem. This Iron Thorn did reveal Heavy Slam to my Clefable. Turns out that he's very Spadef bulky, so gotta keep that in mind for later. Garchomp ended up getting poisoned by a Sludge Wave on the switch in to my Iron Moth, which was actually very, very handy. Obviously with that being 10%, that's pretty hard to recreate, so we're just trying to pivot around here until that drops. But regardless, Garchomp was able to get up 2 layers of spikes in this game before it got taken out by the Toxic, as my Clefable regardless was this low in the actual battle itself. So that is a little bit of a problem just in general, because he's going to be able to do more with his Ass Elf and his Keldeo. Even though I can't really touch Keldeo, still having Clefable around to potentially T-Wave, it would have been nice, because this Keldeo is choice specs. I figured that out because of the huge amount of damage that he was doing to my Alomomola earlier in the game. So that's a nuisance. Gholdengo came in, took Stealth Rocks. That's very important because that chip damage is very important. Weezing is just a giant nuisance. I believe he was Rocky Helmet. I don't remember off the top of my head here. But we're just pivoting it around here until eventually my Alomomola gets really, really low, because most of his team was at like half or very low HP. And he had gotten rid of my Clefable. My Aloe survived a Spec Secret Sword from Keldeo, and I was able to go from there. So this is where the game initially disconnected in the actual Wi-Fi battle here. So what the turn was is that I brought in Aloe on Keldeo. So this turn right here, my Aloe was, I think, at around like 40-ish%. He hits me with the Secret Sword, and he brought me down to about 6%, I want to say. It was either 6% or 6 HP. It might have been 6 HP, honestly, because I lived really, really low. Regardless, though, I was able to live the hit and then flip turn out and gain momentum. Unfortunately, though, at this point in the game, everything else has been recreated except for this turn here, where I lived the hit and then I flip turned. So he suggests we just go for a gentleman's agreement here and we just both switch out. I don't flip turn, he switches out, because I guess that's the only thing we can do. I'm not sure, because in the actual Wi-Fi battle, I would have flipped turned out of Keldeo after it attacked, and I would have been able to bring in something like my Moth or my Meowscarada for free. But you know what? It is what it is. We're here now. So he switches out into Azelf, as I actually switch out into my Tinglu. And I honestly expected him to either bring in the Iron Thorns or bring in the Gholdengo. But we're able to catch the Azelf, which is actually really nice, because this thing cannot do anything to us. As he goes for the U-turn, pops our Citrus Berry. This is fine, as we're able to catch the Weezing here with a Heavy Slam, and this is nice because that is one less thing that we have to worry about. Unfortunately, though, in comes the Keldeo, and I have to just sack off my Alomomola here. Aqua Jet is really nice to get that little bit of chip damage, and this chip is actually really good because now it guarantees that this Keldeo is like 90%, I think, in range of knockoff from my Meowscarada. In hindsight, maybe I should have gone for the Flower Trick, just to guarantee the KO, but I went for knockoff also just on the off chance that he decided to save this and maybe switch out into something like Goldingo. I think if it was Cobra, it lived 2 knockoffs. No, sorry. If it was Cobra, yeah, it did. So he came in if I did knock off. Cobra pops in. I think he lives another one. But if I had gone for Flower Trick here and he made that play, then a Flower Trick into knockoff doesn't knock out Goldingo. And I don't really have a good switch into it because the only information that I have on this is that it's not boots because he did switch it in earlier to take a hit. Or I think he switched it in expecting me to switch on a double. I'm not sure. Either way, it only took rocks damage. So down goes the Keldeo. In comes the Iron Thorns. Unfortunately, this thing is a giant issue. The good thing, though, is I don't think he's set up because he took Moonblast from my... Not Moonblast, sorry. He took Ice Beam from my Clefable way too good. So I'm thinking he's just a really bulky variant. Or maybe even Assault Vested. As I decide to go for the U-turn, getting a little bit of chip damage and just sacking off my Ting Lu. At this point, I don't really need it as he reveals to have Dragon Dance along with Terra Blast. And this is really bad. This is really bad. Because... at the moment of the battle here, I forgot that he showed his last move in the actual Wi-Fi battle. In the Wi-Fi battle, he showed me that he already had Thunder Punch and Heavy Slam. And he just now revealed Dragon Dance and Terra Blast in the remake here. So I forget that he has Thunder Punch here. So what I could have done, honestly, was gone into my Iron Moth. With us being max HP, we live any one hit. Iron Moth lives any one hit that he wants to go for. So then I just revenge him and knock him out with the Sludge Wave. Yes, he's faster, but I live Terra Blast. I live a +1 Thunder Punch too. But unfortunately, I forgot that he revealed Thunder Punch. So I bring in my Concutter, and now I put myself in a really bad spot because I can Terra here as he goes for the Terra Blast, and I live. And then Terra Blast Water into Mach Punch to a KOs this. Or he goes for Thunder Punch as I Terra Water and knocks me out. Or he Terra Blast thinking I won't Mega and I'll stay in my fighting form. Either way though, I gotta roll the dice here or flip a coin, and I do Terra as he Terras and goes for the Terra Blast, or goes for Terra Blast, sorry. And I'm able to live the hit, knock him out with Terra Blast into Mach Punch as in comes the Godango. At this point, I just need to get off some damage on this so I can revenge kill it because Meowscarada's pretty much got the game won along with my Iron Moth here as he reveals to have the recover. I hard switch into my Moth, not really worried about what he wants to go for. We're able to 2-hit KO the Godango, and that is basically game because as you're going to see here, he's scarfed on the Azelf. No, he's not scarfed. Yes, he is scarfed because I brought in Meowscarada and I knock him out with the U-turn. So yeah, that is a 2-0 in our favor. So just a really lackluster week 6, I know guys, but again, just had too many issues trying to battle on Wi-Fi and then having to remake the whole thing and not having video footage of the first bit, or the first half, literally, of the game does kind of suck. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy this, leave a like, leave a comment, and I will see you all for week number 7. So yeah, we locked playoffs, so that's really good. So later, everybody.